we are fitting a diesel heater and I'm going to show you how to do it, alright? You've got a fuel tank, then you've got a fuel pump. Measure twice, cut once. Fresh air coming in, hot air coming out.
Oh!
Hello.
Hey!
How you going? Righto, so in this vid we are going to show you how to install a diesel heater in your caravan, DIY install, and we're also going to give you the chance to win one for yourself. It's worth $2,480 and I can tell you it's going to make your wife very happy if you win it, am I right?
Best caravan accessory yet. It is the bomb.
It's game changer, mate.
Love it.
When you can free camp in cold locations and just wake up comfortable and warm, it makes everything more
I love
enjoyable.
a toasty morning.
It is good, mate. So, a little bit of admin to get out of the way. We are doing this video with my generator and we are giving away a 12-volt Airtronic diesel heater for you guys to install yourself, or you could always take it for someone to get installed as well, right? How to enter? Down below. All you have to do is subscribe to our YouTube channel and head to this link, which is down here too. That'll be in the video description as well. And you just fill out the details there and you're in the chance to win. This comp will run for 1 week from today. I'll put the dates here and we'll just have a random draw and we'll get in contact with you via email to let you know who wins the detail. All right. Oh.
Good luck!
I just said let you know who wins the detail. Let you know who wins the diesel heater.
I didn't even cotton on you said that.
All right, that's the admin sorted. Let's get into the install.
Okay, all my dreams have come true. What do we got?
All right, hey, today we are fitting a diesel heater and I'm going to show you how to do it, all right? But I want to show you how the kit comes and a bit of info about where we got it and how much it is and all that sort of thing. So I'll drop a few title screens in below as well to help you out with the info. But let's start. This is how it comes, right? So it all came in this beautiful little box. What we've done, we have got an Eberspatcher Airtronic diesel heater and I'm going to install it. Tank on the front, diesel heater under the bed. But this is how it'll come in a box. The fuel tank will come separate. Now, if you're not installing it in a caravan, you probably won't need a fuel tank. If you've got a diesel van or something, you can actually pick up the fuel supply off your fuel tank. But we will have a separate reservoir on the front. This will go under the bed. Now, everything else comes in. You've got ducting, you've got intake, you've got exhaust, you've got fuel line, and you've got a wiring harness, and you've got a little fuel pump. Now, I'll sit down, swing in here a little closer.
Such a small unit.
It is tiny, yeah, and it doesn't weigh much at all. I'll put the specs in below. But you've got a few main components, all right? So let's start. You've got the fuel tank, so you're gonna have diesel in that. That will live on the front of the toolbox for us. Then you've got a fuel pump, right? And that'll mount the chassis rail. Now this is just like pulses diesel from the pump into the heater. Now in here is just like a heating element and a little glow plug style setup. The fuel comes in, it heats up, there's a fan at one end and it blows fresh air from your van across the heating element and out the other end. Now we all know hot air rises, so as it pumps out, your hot air is going to come up, float down the van because it's forced through with a fan, and they reckon they work really good. I'll talk a bit more about it throughout the video, but first things first, let's get started installing this thing and I'll show you where everything's going to live. Alright, step one, you got to figure out where you're going to mount this thing, right? Now, I reckon in a caravan, your two best options are going to be either under your bed or under your dining table and your sitting area. You just need a bit of space around there so this isn't sort of tight against anything. You remember it is hot, so you don't want to be like having your airflow against the lino on the floor or anything that's going to get hot or damaged like that. So make sure you got a bit of space around it. For us, under the lounge chair is filled with batteries and chargers, so our next best option is under the bed. So up we go. Now, before we get started, my number one rule, my dad taught me a long time ago, measure twice, cut once, all right? Now that means don't just go that'll do and have at it with a hole saw. Measure it with a tape measure, check it, do a pilot hole if you have to. Make sure you're not going to hit anything when you cut through the floor of your caravan. All right, so what's going to go under the bed is the diesel heater unit, the cowling that goes through the floor. So you do have to cut a hole in the floor to put this through. And then the diesel heater will line up in this cowling like this. There you go. And your intake and your exhaust will come out underneath the van. And you'll silicone this up so you've got a nice, neat fit under your floor. Now, ducting, you're going to have a duct on one end, and then there's another cover to go on here with another duct, and you'll have fresh air coming in, hot air coming out. and you'll duct it around. So my fresh air will come in from one side over here, and the ducted or the hot air will come out up here, and it'll shoot down the van, and we'll have a nice toasty morning when it's cold. Righto, inside here, this is where I'm going to put mine. So I've been in here with the tape measure, right, measured it out, and then I'll climb underneath the van and show you as well, because what you've got underneath your Caravan is your chassis rails. So you want to make sure that when you do cut a hole this big in your floor, that it's not going to get hung up on any metal, any pipes, any wires, all that sort of stuff. So measure twice, cut once, get under and have a look, get a tape measure out, get the wife inside, and then have a look here. I've marked it out, and what I've done is I've drilled a little tiny pilot hole, like a 1/8 pilot hole through.
So hard to film.
The wife's struggling a little bit. And then I got underneath, had a look, lined it up, make sure, double check that it's not a miss everything, all right?
Don't stuff this up.
I'll just get a hacksaw blade now and trim around the outside. It should fit.
Oh!
Hello.
Hey!
How you going? That was a good way to do it, actually. The little pilot holes in the hacksaw blade worked well. Now this is what's got to go through. Is it going to fit, dear? Is it going to fit?
I trust you.
Let's go. Oh no.
Shut up.
Look at that. Neat as a pin, mate. I'm stoked with that.
Rock solid.
Happy days. And on she goes. Base plate straight on to our silicone hole. Done. Alright, next step is to mount our diesel heater into the base plate and run the ducting. So I'm going to have to drill a couple more holes. How do you go with that, dear? More
no,
holes?
it's alright. You did well on the first one.
I've gained her trust with the first one. So, hole number 2. Alright, next step is to run the ducting for the output for the heater. So here it is, I've mounted it to the floor. Now the output is coming out this side, and I've just cut a short bit of vent, and I'm going to twist it this way, drill a hole here, and then it will come out around about here, about 4 inches up from the floor. There'll be another little vent there, and that's where the hot air will come out of. Alright, hey, there's also a couple of hose clamps too that go on the ducting. So before I move on, I'll show you. You fit one on the outlet and one on the intake. Make sure you do those up. Just firm, not too tight, but you just don't want those pipes wriggling loose on you, that's all. Well, I've picked a stellar day to do this. It's blowing about 30 k's an hour and I'm laying in the sand, so probably try and do it on concrete if you can, but when you get underneath to bolt this to the floor, in your little packet of bits you'll have nuts and washers. So you'll need a 10mm socket and an extension and a ratchet, and just get under and then tighten them up. That'll pull your heater to the base plate that you just installed up the top there. It's time to fit the exhaust, mate. So have a look at this. Here's your intake. I've done the intake pipe. You just have to put a hose clamp around the top of it, run it out this way, and I'm going to put a P-clamp on it to clip it to the floor. And then this side here is your exhaust side. It comes out this way, and then I've just screwed this bracket in here. That's for the exhaust. And then you can see on this one, here's your little exhaust, or your muffler. There's an arrow on it, so it tells you that the flow must go that way. So it's coming out of the heater, into the muffler, out the other way. I'm just going to bolt this muffler to this bracket here, and then I can mount a bit of pipe on the other side as well. Righto, quick update. here we go. Intake clamps are on, screwed to the floor. Exhaust clamps are on, routed out to the muffler, which has a bracket screwed to the chassis rail. And then out the other side, you've got a bit of an exhaust pipe that hangs out and faces backwards. So there you go. That's all that part of it done. Now, I'm going to mount the fuel tank to the front of the toolbox, and then I'll hook up this blue hose from this point here, along the chassis rail to the fuel pump, the metering pump, and then another bit of hose up to the tank. Alrighty, so we're up to the fuel pump, right? Now, this is your metering pump here. All you have to do is plug and play your harness into this side, and then your controller will tell it when it needs to pulse fuel up to your diesel heater. But to do your fuel lines, what you've got is these little black joiners, right? So, and then you've got your fuel line, which is the blue line, and then you've got these little hose clamps. So what you got to do is put a black joiner on either side, like so, right up to the end, and another one on this side, up to here. Now, you got to make sure you put this in line the right way. So read the instructions and it tells you which way the pump needs to go, and it has to go on a certain angle, all right? So make sure you've got the inlet and the outlet in the right direction. Inlet coming from the tank, outlet going to your diesel heater. Anyway, it also comes with this little rubber clamp, and that's what you'll slide the pump into, and then screw that brass fitting off to your chassis rail. So there you go. Chuck those on, throw some hose clamps over that side, put another hose clamp on, because you'll have to do your blue line, and then your blue line goes from here, and then find a little bit of spit helps it, slide it in till it stops. It'll hit the metal barb on the end of the fuel pump and stop. So you want to make sure that you've got that fuel line as far in as it can go, and there you go. You got your two hose clamps, tighten them up, and she's ready to install. So when you've got your fuel pump mounted in your little bracket here, you have to come underneath the chassis rail, and for optimum settings it needs to be between 15 and 35 degrees on the angle. So I've written that there. There's flat, there's 45. You want it somewhere between 15 and 30, which is about there, and then you can screw off that bracket and connect your blue fuel line from the fuel tank, which is this one here, running through the gap. When you do cut your fuel line to size, make sure you use a nice sharp Stanley blade and cut it straight through so you don't crush the line. All right, it's been a big day. I got sidetracked outside for a few hours, so I didn't work on it. But I've come back to it, I've run the wiring and stuff, and I've got it working so it's ready to go in the morning. And we've just had it on for like half an hour, and we come inside and the wife's a little bit happy.
Happy is an understatement.
So I set it, like I cranked it full on at 38. Like, we're never gonna have it at 38 degrees in here, but I did it and shut the door, and we come back 10 minutes later and it's like, oh, it's like summertime in here. Wow. It's ridiculous. So all I have to do is now I have to route the wiring. I just wanted to test it all before I did it properly, and I'll put this little controller in a nice little spot. But I'll do that tomorrow. And when we wake up in the morning, it will be a nice toasty van, and the missus will be very happy with me.
Yeah, so. And the kids too. They,
it works so good. Hey, it's quiet, it's hot, it's easy to control. I'll talk you through this tomorrow. Anyway, nighty night. I'm gonna wake up nice and warm. Righto, wiring her up. Now I'm going to show you where I did it. It's going to be different for each application. Okay, so where you put it in your van, or if it's in a caravan or a bus or a van, whatever. But it's super simple. That's what I want to get across to you. So it all comes as a plug and play harness. You've got everything that connects all the pieces, from the controller to the unit to the fuel pump, and they're all different fittings. So you can't actually mess it up, okay? They only go together one way. The only thing you'll have to do that requires a little bit of knowledge is pinch some 12-volt power from your system. So for me, lucky I had a spare spot under the seat from our battery system. I'll show you that. I had a spare power coming off a fuse panel. Now I've run that down through the floor, along the chassis rail, and up right below the heater and the control, okay? And then the little controller, what I wanted to do was put it somewhere so when I was in bed and it was cold and Beck goes, I don't want to get out of bed, it's freezing, all I have to do is sneak my little hand out from the covers and turn it on. So I've mounted our little controller over there. I'll talk you through how that works in a minute, but I want to show you the wiring. So like I said, super simple, plug and play harness, comes with enough cable that you don't need any extras, okay? All you need is to pinch some power. So here we go, there's the unit. Here's all the connectors here. It comes with a preloaded fuse box, so you don't even need that. You can just run power straight off your battery to there. And then this little one here, I've clipped up, and that takes us along there and through, and I've mounted the control panel up the back there. That's a super long harness, so you can pretty much run that at the other end of your caravan if you wanted to. There you go, that's all the wiring tucked away in there, plugged together. Super easy, honestly, so easy. All right, I'll fire this thing up and talk you through it. This is me in bed. Just pretend if it's a freezing morning, I sneak my little hand out here. If I hold this for 3 seconds, I'll talk you through the settings. It turns on, right? So that's a good thing, that's one option. You hold it for 3 seconds, it comes on to a preset temperature. I've got it cranked at like 35, so if I press it, I can leave it on for 15 minutes before I get out of bed in the morning to make a coffee, and the van is super toasty. And if the same again, if you press and hold for 3 seconds, it turns it off. So that's super easy while you're in bed. Now, the other things you can do, you can set it as a heat, as a fan. It's also got timers and it's got sleep timers. So here we go, I'll show you. Yes, it's off, heating, there's 37. Let's adjust it to say, I want to leave it on all night. So we've been setting it at like 18 degrees or 19 degrees all night. Hit that. Look at that, 720 minutes or infinite, you can leave it on. I just leave it normally on like 600 minutes. That cranks all night, hit the button, and away she goes. Now the good thing with that is, this is also the temperature sensor for the system. So you can set that as either the controller or the heater. And that way it knows when it hits 18 degrees, which is good for there because the hot air is blowing this way, right? So it's not like it's gonna all of a sudden get down there and turn it off. It waits for the whole van to heat up and then bang, turns it off. And then it's super quiet, it just cuts in and out as needed to hold the van at 18 degrees or 20 degrees, whatever you want, all night. I love it, it's so good, so toasty. And I'll tell you what, it's made our cold mornings and our inland free camps a lot more enjoyable, hasn't it, dear?
Absolutely.
It has.
Absolutely.
No running the generator, no chewing the battery system to use the aircon. It's just turn it on. I don't know. I can't believe we've never had a diesel heater before. It is absolutely crazy. We love it. Anyway, I've got a few more things to tell you, and I'm also going to tell you how to get one for yourself. Come with me, I'm going to show you how the diesel heater works from start to finish. First up, you've got to put diesel in it, right? So where I've mounted the tank on the front, all you got to do is put diesel in it. Now, it takes about 10 or 12 litres, I think. And the good thing about diesel heaters is they're super efficient. So like we've been running this for nearly 2 months now, and this is the first time I've filled up the diesel tank. So there you go. I'll put some fuel in this and I'll show you how it works. Righto, here's the fuel line coming from the fuel tank down through here. Now I've put a bit of conduit around mine just to protect it along the chassis rail. Comes up here to the fuel metering pump, which is mounted at a correct angle and in its little rubber bracket to stop vibration. And then this fuel line and wiring comes this way. The wiring goes up to the control harness, and the blue line, the fuel line, comes into our diesel heater in the bottom. Then you've got this black hose here, which is the air intake for the heating side, which, if you've noticed, I've faced backwards to stop dust coming up through inside of it. Then as the fresh air goes in, the glow plug ignites the diesel, the exhaust and the hot air comes out this side, and it also goes through a muffler, so it's quiet on the outside. Comes out this little tailpipe, and then also face this one backwards to stop dust going in it as you drive it along. There you go. that's how it works, hey? Might sound a bit complicated, but once you get it in, it's pretty simple, hey? Righto, I'm gonna tell you a few specs about this heater because we did a lot of research when looking at them, okay? And there is a lot of options, and we've ended up going with the Airtronic. And I'm gonna read them out because there's too many to remember. But what we wanted was something that was quiet, something that was reliable, and something that was easy to control. Because we'd heard from a lot of other people installing heaters that they're way too hot, and you can only run them for 10 minutes and then you have to turn it off and all these sort of issues. So anyway, I'll read you out a few things about the Airtronic. Reduced noise fan. The fan is what they call a stageless, all right? So it has many speed steps, 31 speed steps. So that allows better airflow, which then allows you to control your heat in your Caravan, all right? It's a brushless motor, so it's quiet and it lasts longer. And the reduced noise fuel pump is a big thing because if you've ever talked to anyone with an old style diesel heater, the pump makes a tick, 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 tick noise, right? And that can get really frustrating, especially when it's mounted on your chassis rail and it resonates through your van. This is a super quiet pump and it's mounted in a rubber bracket so you don't hear a thing, mate. The whole system's actually super quiet unless you're cranking it at like 38 degrees. The fan ramps right up and all you hear is the fan. As soon as it cuts out though and it's just holding temp, you can't hear it at all. The new Easy Start Pro controller, which is the controller I showed you, it's smart, it's easy to use, and you have different sort of a lot of different modes to use, and it's got detailed diagnostic error code info. So it'll tell you if your diesel tank's empty, or it'll tell you if you don't have power somewhere, all that sort of thing. And then it's got improved fuel consumption at maximum power. So like I said, we've had it running for like 4 to 6 weeks. I can't even remember. Filled it up once, and we've been cranking it a lot. So they use bugger all diesel. Anyway, there's a few bits of info for you. Hope you enjoyed that. One more thing I want to remind you about is we have discount codes across the whole store at My Generator. I'll put them all down here, okay? And you can save yourself some money on any Caravan appliance. Doesn't have to be a diesel heater. It can be batteries, air cons, showers, whatever they got there. Codes below. They'll be in the video description as well. Can't help yourself, save a bit of cash. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that and got some good info out of the video and the install so you can go and do it yourself. As always, what do you do, mate?
Like and subscribe. I'm terrible at this bit. Like and subscribe, comment, make sure you enter the giveaway.
That's it. Comments, questions, feedback down below. We love you guys as an audience, and don't forget to enter. We're stoked to give one of these away.
So epic.
So, see ya.